Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the language of business. Today, we're diving into a report that might sound as exciting as watching paint dry, but trust me, there's some interesting stuff hidden inside and we're going to expose it. It involves a company that makes things like cranes and hoists, so prepare to have some heavy lifting equipment explained. We're looking at a filing from Columbus McKinnon Corporation. Basically, it's a snapshot of some things that happened on March 11, 2025, and what they chose to tell their investors. They were presenting at an industry conference, so let's see what they wanted people to know. This document is called an 8K, which is basically a company saying, hey, something important happened and we need to tell everyone. It's like a business bulletin board. The date here is March 11, 2025. Columbus McKinnon is telling everyone that they are submitting it under the rules of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, which is a set of laws that govern the stock market. Columbus McKinnon is based in New York. They're registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, under file number 1 to 34,362. Their main office is in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you wanted to call them, the number is 716 to 689 to 5400. They have common stock traded under the ticker symbol CMCO on the Nasdaq Global Select Market. Here's a super important detail. They trade on the Nasdaq under the ticker CMCO. This means you or anyone can buy and sell shares in this company, so what they say here matters. This part is just legal boilerplate, basically saying they aren't using this report to promote anything illegally. It just means they are following all the regulations. Here's the meat of the filing. Regulation FD is all about making sure companies don't selectively disclose information. In other words, they can't whisper secrets to some investors and not others. Columbus McKinnon presented at the JP Morgan 2025 Industrials Conference in March, and they're sharing the presentation slides with everyone. They say that this presentation will also be on their website, but it is not necessarily filed under all regulations like the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. So while it's public, the company isn't staking their life on every single sentence in it. The report also includes the presentation slides as an exhibit, which is a fancy way of saying, here's a document that goes along with this report. This is pretty standard. They're showing the JP Morgan 2025 Industrials Conference slides, which were dated March 11, 2025. So, what does this all mean? Well, Columbus McKinnon wanted to get in front of investors at a big conference. What a company presents at these conferences is important because it gives insight into how they view themselves and their future. It's a chance to put on a good face, highlight successes, and downplay any potential problems. Let's take a step back and look at the broader picture. Columbus McKinnon is in the business of making and selling equipment for lifting and moving materials. Think cranes, hoists, rigging gear, and all sorts of related stuff. They play in a global market, so they're affected by things like economic growth, construction activity, and even the prices of raw materials like steel. If those sectors are doing well, it generally means Columbus McKinnon is doing well too. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is what wasn't mentioned. This report is very specific and only mentions the presentation that was being done, but doesn't talk about financial performance. It is possible that the company did not want to talk about that at all, or maybe it just was not relevant to the presentation at hand. So, what's my take on Columbus McKinnon? Without seeing the actual presentation slides, it's tough to give a super detailed analysis. But based on the fact that they were presenting at a JP Morgan conference, it suggests they're trying to actively engage with investors. One of the biggest opportunities for Columbus McKinnon is the potential growth in infrastructure spending. Governments around the world are talking about investing in new roads, bridges, and other projects. All of that requires lifting and moving heavy materials, which is exactly what Columbus McKinnon's equipment does. Of course, there are risks too. The global economy is always a bit unpredictable. A slowdown in manufacturing or construction could definitely hurt their sales. They also face competition from other companies in the lifting and material handling space. Overall, Columbus McKinnon seems to be a solid company in a cyclical industry. When the economy is humming, they're likely to do well, but they're also exposed to downturns. Keep an eye on their financials and listen to what they say in their presentations and reports. It'll give you a better sense of where they're headed. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more corporate decoder videos.